Hello, my name is Haley Kiger, and you are about to view our yearly report, quarter 5 to quarter 8 for Hat Industries, and we're going to go through how well we did. So if you would go to slide 2 for me on the presentation, you will see our financial results regarding income. And I'm going to talk about mostly the different decisions that we decided to make in this past year that I really feel like set us apart from the previous quarters and skyrocketed us up with the revenues. You can see from the first 4 quarters, we had low revenues, low gross profit, low income before taxes, low everything. But you can see once we got the board's investment of $5 million, you can see just how much that jumps up from the board's investment in quarter 5 all the way to quarter 8, and how we were not only able to make the money back, but make way more than the $5 million back. And then if you look at the right graph, you can see our expenses, and you can see how those also gradually continue to increase as we went throughout the year. If you'll look on the graph in quarter 5, you'll see where a lot of our money was spent that the board invested into the company was spent in research and development. And further on in the presentation, you'll see just how much this had a positive impact, deciding to invest so much money into research and development on our company. We also spent a lot of money on increasing our sales forces and expanding into different areas and regions, and that had a lot to do with our increase in expenses from this past year. And with just naturally with production and marketing and everything, it increased as our profits increased, and we had to keep up with the consumer demands and produce things, and our cost of goods just began to increase, which explains the constant increase in expenses in addition to the research and development and the expanding and the inventory growth. And that's probably the biggest difference between our first year and this year is our revenues were able to skyrocket because of decisions we made, and at the same time our expenses did grow, but they were all invested into good things and put to good use. Now if you look at the next slide labeled as slide 3, you will see the financial results regarding our statement of cash flows. And this graph does a good job at depicting kind of the peaks and valleys of our company regarding cash flows and investing activities and financing activities. So in our first year, it was pretty steady. Fortunately, we never got in any debt or had to take out an emergency loan, so we did always have a constant cash flow that we were able to spend. But at the same time, we were putting money into the company, and that's where a lot of our cash flows were coming from. They weren't coming from any sort of, not much revenue or anything like that. And in quarter 5, you can see where we have the lowest amount of net operating cash flow, and that's due to our, like previously stated, our high investment into research and development. And that kind of explains why we had the lowest amount of cash flows that quarter. But at the same time, if you look at our investing activities, you'll see where in quarter 5, 6, and 7 we were investing more money than we had been in the previous quarters, and this was due to our expanding into new regions which we had not yet had sales forces and sales offices located. And that in turn is why our cash flow increased and skyrocketed so much in quarter 6, 7, and 8, because we were able to go into those untapped markets where a lot of our competitors hadn't reached yet, and we had a big share of the market due to this because we had little competition to mark up against, and so we got a big market share and we had a lot of income and revenues, and finally we were able to turn a profit and tripled our cash flows, as you can see from the chart just how much it jumps a lot from quarter 5 to quarter 8 to where we are now. And that's due to our expansion, our investment into research and development, and just being able to be the first to those markets and have a lot of the market share and produce and sell a lot and have high demand. And if you look on slide 4 with the balance sheet, it have any liability, just equity, and just how we were able to pretty much triple our assets within these last few quarters and really turn everything that we had invested to and expanded upon into more revenues. And we have hoped to expand our long-term assets by increasing our sales offices and purchasing more locations and increasing our operating capacity.
In slide 5, our team chose a 3-pronged strategy that's centered around the expansion into new markets, research and development to gain competitive advantage, and capacity expansion to keep pace with the increased consumer demand. Following our Q4 results, we were well positioned in our original target market segments, which were workhorse and cost cutter. We believed, however, that we did need to expand into at least one additional market and in order to have enough overall demand to generate the margins necessary to win in our simulation. We chose Traveler as our new target segment for two primary reasons. One, it was a high margin segment based on the potential price points in our market research had indicated were available. And two, feature R&D in this segment was largely unusable for other segments due to the unique demands of this customer profile. Finally, we knew that we would have to continue expanding our plant capacity in order to serve an ever larger demand base. As you can see in slide 6, the first leg of our strategy involved expansion of our sales force. The primary driver of this leg of the strategy was the relative absence of other competitors in markets outside of Europe and North America. We sensed that there was significant market share that could be gained simply by being one of the few options in these markets. As you can see in slide 7, we opened sales offices and expanded the sales force fairly rapidly beginning in Q5. We used the initial VC funding to open a spate of new offices in Q5 and funded subsequent office openings through increased revenue from prior office openings. As you can see in the chart on the left, while we competed with the simulation winner on office openings, we lagged far behind in total sales staff. We intentionally did not expand our sales staff to match Carolina Tech Company, as we felt their overstaffing reduced their retained earnings, which is likely one of the reasons we came so close to catching them in the end. Slide 8 details the second prong of our strategy, which was to use R&D investment to solidify our gains in the new markets we entered by creating competitive advantage